Raju is also on Capitol Hill. And Mano, you caught up with Speaker Johnson moments ago.
Yeah, he is very willing to grind this out on the floor, ballot by ballot, if he does not get there on the first ballot. In fact, I asked him if he's willing to do what Kevin McCarthy did for the first time in a century. That happened 2 years ago when this went to multiple ballots, the speaker's race. McCarthy ultimately won in 15 ballots over several days. I said, Speaker Johnson, are you willing to do that if you don't get there? He indicated he absolutely is. And Jake, he also told me that Donald Trump has been making phone calls to members, urging them to get on his side. Now, what the speaker's been saying to members who've been asking for concessions, Republican holdouts, he said to them he will not be cutting any deals with them. Instead, he's promised to engage them more in the legislative process, and he's implored them that they need to elect a speaker now to move the Trump agenda. And there are warnings, including from Speaker's allies like Congressman Womack of Arkansas, who told me earlier today that if they don't elect a speaker on the first ballot, it would send the wrong message to voters.
Put it in the bank and move on to our legislative agenda.
What message would it send if you guys have to go to multiple ballots here to elect a speaker?
That we're not ready to govern, that the people of America have given us this opportunity and that we're not prepared for it.
But the math is always going to be a challenge in this razor-thin majority. As you mentioned, Jake, just one Republican no vote. Is that all he can afford, assuming that all members on the GOP and the Democratic side vote for a specific candidate? And there are several who continue to hold out. But nevertheless, Jake, despite the uncertainty at this perilous time for the GOP, there is some optimism among the Speaker's allies. They believe they can get there. They're uncertain if they can do it in the first ballot, or this will drag on for some time, because there really is no alternative if Republicans can't elect a Speaker. If they can't elect a Speaker, the House simply can't legislate.
And Speaker Johnson did allow the C-SPAN cameras to be live on the floor of the Congress as they gavel out the 118th Congress and gavel in the 119th. We just saw an image of the former House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, who broke her hip overseas and has been recovering. Good to see her back on her feet on the floor there. And we're going to continue monitoring the events on the floor of the House. Let's go to CNN's Kristen Holmes right now, who spoke on the phone with President-elect Trump just a short while ago. Kristen, what did he tell you about the vote for Speaker?
Well, Jake, he said that he was all behind Johnson, 100%. He praised him throughout the entire phone call, talking about how good of a man that he was, something we've heard from him before, but making it clear that there was no one waiting in the wings, at least in his mind, to be Speaker, and that he thought that Johnson was going to be successful today. Now, I did ask him about our reporting that he had been calling these holdouts, and he confirmed that he had, including speaking to Representative Chip Roy. On that specifically, he said he believed that Chip Roy would do the right thing for the country. Obviously, Jake, we are going to have to wait and see how that aligns, what Chip Roy believes is right for the country and what Donald Trump believes is right for the country. But he also insisted he wasn't telling the holdouts anything. He was just telling them that this would be a good add to the win that they had in the presidential election. A big, beautiful exclamation point is how he put it. So obviously very Trump rhetoric right there. But he said he's going to be watching all of this unfold. He's very interested in how the votes go down, and that he's going to be spending the day looking at this to see how exactly this plays out.
Yeah, we just saw Chip Roy on the floor there, and that's Jamie Raskin. There's Chip Roy, congressman from Texas, on the phone, leaving the floor of the House of Representatives to take this phone call. Who knows, perhaps from somebody whose last name is Trump. And Chip Roy, Dana Bash, very sincere, very earnest believer in the fact that the United States spends too much money compared to how much money it takes in from taxes, and that this deficit and debt problem is one that needs drastic measures as soon as possible. He's very sincere about that, Dana.
No question about it. He is a holdover from what was the Tea Party, which is what ushered in the House Republican majority, now almost 15 years ago. So I want to bring in my esteemed colleagues here, David Chalian and Casey Hunt. Nice to see you. We're so excited. This is always an exciting day. I want to pick up on what Kristen was reporting about from her